It's no secret that our actions are determined by the way we look at life. And that includes science. We may hear a, quote, fact from a scientist and then hear the exact opposite thing from another one. Both scientists may be well respected, but come up with opposite conclusions. This is very common. They may have the exact same information or data and yet come up with literally the opposite conclusions. How can this happen? It is very simple. Different people have differing, even opposite worldviews. We saw this with global warming, now referred to as climate change, COVID-19, and even the study of origins, in other words, creationism versus evolution. It began over a century ago when scientists and philosophers began to doubt the creation model as described in the book of Genesis and the first book of the Bible. Some of them decided that a purely materialistic view of life, that is, everything is only natural, was the best way to look at our world. This would eliminate any kind of supernatural being, such as God, and also do away with any act of creation. No design or designer was included in their scientific worldview, and no true miracles could ever occur. Darwinism eventually became the go-to scientific theory for scientists with this philosophy. Within a few decades, any kind of discussion of creationism was eventually pushed out of the scientific public discussion. Why was this necessary? Admittedly, one of the key reasons was the need to get rid of God and the morals that came along with a belief in Him. And evolution certainly does that. It sets up a society to assume morals are, at best, a necessary evil. So after more than a century of forcing Darwinism into our schools, films, media, and scientific journals, we have begun to see huge consequences of this worldview. And here's the slippery slope that we have seen over the last 7 or 8 decades. First, prayer and the Bible were removed from the public schools in order to get rid of the Creator. As a result, teenage pregnancies jumped as well as a steady increase in various crimes throughout the whole United States, and drug usage skyrocketed. Now, it can be argued whether the removing of references to God from classrooms was the cause of the increase, but the increase in crime is not arguable. And the overall results of an overwhelming materialistic worldview throughout America are certainly being seen in our culture. And science is not immune to this change. If everything is seen as no more than materialistic accidents and reactions, as in the case of evolution, then any kind of supernatural event, miracle, or act of creation is, of course, ruled out, as discussed in earlier lessons. It is agreed by most that there are only 2 possibilities for the origin of life: creationism or evolution, or what is called neo-Darwinism. Both sides of the debate generally agree on this point. But science is supposed to be neutral. If the observations and evidence point to evolution, then so be it. But if the evidence points to a creator or a designer, then so be it. But with the change in the overall worldview of most scientists today, it is very difficult to learn of the contradictions between science and the theory of evolution. The challenge for many Westerners is the lack of the ability to accept anything but evolution. because that is all we have been taught in most cases. As you look at these lessons, try to let evidence be the determining factor for your beliefs.